which helps us. And I think some of the guys were sure I'm sure I just picked out more stuff. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Jesse. Bergman, here.
Here.
Schmidt, here. Peterson, here. Bishop, here. Thank you, Jesse. Call to order at 7 p.m. on this fine July 24th, 2023. Hey, now I want to bring your attention to the Open Meeting Act. It is on the south wall, and it is also available online if you wish to read it. Review and action of agenda. Everyone get a chance to review the agenda?
Yes, move to accept the agenda for July 24th, 2023. Second.
Kimberly moved, Tierney second, that we accept the agenda for July 24th, 2023. Any discussion? Andrea, how do you vote? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Tierney?
Yes.
Kimberly? Motion carried. Review and action of prior meeting minutes from June 26th, 2023.
Make a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes for June 26th, 2023, away reading.
Second. Kimberly moved, Andrea second, that we accept the June 26th, 2023 prior meeting minutes and waive the reading. Any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Same.
Kimberly? Yes. Tierney?
Yes.
Andrea? Yes. Motion carried. Review and action of prior meeting minutes from July 10th, 2023.
Move to set action of prior meeting minutes July 10th, 2023.
Second.
Tierney moved, Sam second, that we accept the prior meeting minutes and waive the reading. Any discussion? Tierney, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Andrea? Sam?
Yes.
Motion carried. All right.
I was not here. Well.
Okay, let's do that. That's okay.
You can make a motion. Yeah.
Okay, so
All you need to do is make the minutes will reflect the Tierney abstain.
all right. Tierney, you abstain?
Yes.
Okay. Minutes, please reflect that Tierney abstains. Motion carried, and we wait. That's all right. Have we were on a roll?
We were.
Thanks for keeping us straight. Yeah. All right, communications.
Okay, the concrete is poured on 6th and Warren. I think we're shooting for Wednesday of this week for it to be open. As hot as it is, it should cure overnight. Apparently that's not how concrete works, they tell me anyway. So that project will be wrapped up, and as you would have probably seen or maybe not seen yet, final billing for CSC is in the packet there. So we're thankful that project is completed, along with the South Central Highway project is now completed. We got the rock in place, the crushed granite in place for the transition area, as well as on both the east and west sides where concrete touches gravel. So all good there. Upcoming meetings, and we'll talk about one later on in the agenda too. we'll need to do a CRA meeting on the 4th of August. We'll have a couple of agenda items here. I don't have the agenda to it yet, but they'll be approving their budget, or recommending their budget for approval to you for the August 8th city council meeting. If the ordinance is passed, yes. August 8th is tentative because if you don't pass it tonight, then go back to the drawing board. We're back to the meeting on the 2nd and 4th Monday. Sorry, let's put the cart before the horse there. Planning Commission will meet August 8th at noon. Will be a public hearing. They did not have quorum at their last meeting, so we had to republish and reset the certified letters. So we need a public hearing for the conditional use permit, for a conditional use permit. So that'll be August 8th at noon. CRA August 4th at noon. Planning Commission August 8th at noon. Pending, cemetery at noon, or 5:15 on August 8th. Still on Fairway, okay? And then pending what happens tonight, we may have an August 8th city council meeting at 7. So we'll see.
That's my birthday, I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, it is.
Okay,
That's all I have at this time for communications. The underground work is continuing on the Central Avenue project. No hiccups, everything's fine. We're continuing, they're continuing to bore. The pots will be right behind them with some lights. So we're still shooting for to finish, wrap that up this fiscal year and have everything built out. So I'm hopeful we can get that done.
As part of communication, I did forget to mention that the city of Grant is videotaping this week. I don't know if it's called videotaping. Recording is on streaming. There's no VHS involved at all.
Never again.
Just in my mind, that's what I see, so. All right, standing committee reports. Andrea?
Tree board met last Tuesday and worked on the strategic plan for the rest of the year and a little bit for next year.
Perfect. Kimberly?
Park and Rec met actually just before this meeting, general dialogue about the season, for fall. I missed the first part, so I will divert over to Ed. However, I did catch that we had 35 banners sold this year, and we are going to aim for 55 next year.
45?
45.
45, you said 55, or I just corrected it. I don't really know. But that's great. Obviously, a lot of really good support. There was some discussion on the management agreement between City of Grant and the soccer team. We will have a recommendation from the committee for that contract. And some discussion as well about upcoming improvements to the ball field area and potentially surveying for a master plan to see what the community would like. Anything I missed in the beginning?
You nailed it. I mean,
You accomplished nothing before I got here?
Brittany did reach out to the coaches, and we had 3 responses from the coaches as far as an annual feedback plan. I did share those with the board individually. We have some things that we're continuing to work on as money allows. One of the things I think we'll probably implement next year is trying to look for a groundskeeper to help with field maintenance, rather than just relying on public works employees. They do a fantastic job, especially getting ready for game day, but more of a day-to-day, dragging the fields, getting the rocks out, that type of stuff. So we'll be actively pursuing, and we had one in the past. We've had one in the past, and it's been unsuccessful with anybody applying. So we usually put that out when we put out our lifeguard concession stand help notice. So we'll be looking for someone, an adult, that we can rely on to give us a hand down there, keeping the ball fields in good shape. So that's really all.
Terry? Sam?
None.
All right, thank you. Financials, Jesse?
Cemetery.
Oh, sorry,
Cemetery
cemetery.
did meet. So we talked, similar to what tree board did, we talked a little bit about strategic plan, upcoming year, what things went well, what do we want to improve on. For them, at their next meeting, we'll be working on their budget for approval as well. Talked about flag poles, still need to sell one more, so if you know somebody, tell them we got a flagpole for it, they can come to City Hall. $500 for a pole, we install it, and then they can purchase an additional flag for $100. The flags are 3 inches by 5 inches, and they wrap around, so that it's not all the way around it, but it fits the curvature of the pole. But come see me, I need to sell one more, so we can get those installed. It's pretty costly if we just do one at a time, so we were trying to shoot for 4 to 6 a block. So we're not just poking holes one at a time. We gotta get the equipment out, just do it all at once.
That makes sense.
We did have a couple of sprinkler repairs in the cemetery, informed them about. There's, you hit a wire every once in a while, unfortunately, on those underground sprinklers, it throws everything out of whack, so we got that back in line. And then in part of communications too, we did get the park path repaired, tree roots, imagine that. This time, unfortunately, they were wrapped around the 4-inch length. So it really took a lot of time. With that, you have egress block. And it requires time for the glue to set and all that before you just kick the boosters on and go to town. So yeah, it got a little brown on us, but we're gonna put the water to it this week, get it back in green shape. So, tree roots, imagine that.
And the park just wouldn't be the same without trees.
No. The tree's fine. The tree probably will survive since it was sitting in a pool of water. They probably soaked it all up. But yes.
Thank you very much. What do you say, Sam?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sorry. Financials, Jesse?
This is our quarterly one, so your additional documents are in there. That service account, we haven't quite got caught up, but it should catch up again by the end of the year, so that's why it's our negative account still. And this one had, the completion of the water project for the extent side in it, and the fee request, I sent it to the state today, so hopefully we'll have everything closed out by the end of this whole year.
Thank you very much. And then we accept those minutes. All right, before we do public comment, we're gonna, can we do the public hearing or? The public hearing? Yeah, yes, can I move to that?
Just can't stop it.
All right, I'd like to open the public hearing. It is past 7:05, but I think that we're okay that, for the purpose of reviewing the LB 840 Citizen Advisory Review Committee 6-month report as presented in our packet. Do you have anything to note on that?
No, this is your statutory requirement. You're required to have a public hearing twice every 6 months for this. In January and July is the statutory requirements for it. We have one account, one outstanding grant, one outstanding loan. Everything is paid in full as far as the loan goes, and all the condition criteria are continuing to be met.
So this is a public hearing, so anybody in the public can speak to this 6-month report.
I will also note that we did have 2 applications during this last 6-month time period. Unfortunately, we were unable.
We opened that at 7:13. There being no public comments, I'm gonna go ahead and close that at 7:14. And move back to regular public comment. So a public comment time gives the community members opportunity to share information with the council. In other words, if you want to say something to the council, this is the time to do it. We do ask that you step up to the podium, give your name, and then list specifics of like what you want to talk about. And then maybe the impact of whatever you're talking about, like I'm Jane Smith, I live at 123 Main Street. For or against ABC, which will have the following impacts on me, which is X, Y, Z. And this is why I urge the council to approve or deny. So that's what the public comment is for. There being no public comment, we're gonna go ahead and move on to unfinished business. Jesse, would you read the third reading of ordinance number 230601?
Yes. Ordinance number 23-06-01, an ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Grant, Perkins County, Nebraska, amending the revised municipal code of the city of Grant, Perkins County, Nebraska, ordinance number 18-11-01, by adding new sections in chapter 3 misdemeanors, article 1, general misdemeanors labeled section 3-105, quiet hours, and section 3-106, vehicle mufflers, prevention of fumes and smoke, and renumbering the remaining sections.
Okay, so your request there last meeting, we're able to make those changes so you can see what comes before, what will come after it. Hopefully that puts it into some clarity for you as far as disorderly conduct and vehicle muffler prevention of fumes and smoke. We did get, I did finalize the survey results of the packet. So we'll do those and then maybe I'll have Jim speak on his report with the times and dates of violations. So we received a total of 95 responses. Not bad for, I think it was open for 6 weeks, I guess. Pretty bad. 75 were, the first question was, would you be in favor of quiet hours? We received 75 yes responses and 20 no responses. And then question 2 was, if you are in favor of quiet hours, please indicate the hours you prefer as quiet hours. And then the responses are not listed in like number 1, 2, 3, 4 that the votes were received in. That's what I put on the questionnaire itself, the Google form. First suggestion was 10-7, and we received 20 votes for that. Second was 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. We received 5 votes for that. Third was 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., and we received 12 votes for that. Fourth was 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., and that was the majority with 30 votes. And then not in favor 20, which matches the no responses above 20. There was a spot where you could put other. They could submit their own times. And as you can see, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times given, but each of those only had 1 or 2 votes. 12 p.m. to 5 a.m. received 1 vote. 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. received 1 vote. 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. received 2 votes. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. received 2 votes. And then someone wrote out this to include Jake breaks on semis, but we already have that. And then 7 to 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. Sorry, 7 p.m. to 9 a.m. with 1 vote. So those are the responses from the survey. I did reach out to Jim for your request for his guidance on what they've received as far as complaints go. Jim?
I believe you guys have the call descriptions and the days. I went back as far as I could in our CAD records management system, which was to August of 2013. And as I said at the last meeting, there's just kind of a handful of those types of violations, and most of them were actually fireworks violations or complaints for noise, as opposed to loud music, loud vehicles, things of that nature. We did not include disturbances within residence or a business, just because those are kind of a different natured offense, and people that call those in are usually already involved in disturbance. So these would have been things that were called in by people because it was an issue that was disturbing their peace. Most of the fireworks complaints, interestingly enough, were proactive through the deputies. So the majority of those were not called in by the public. It was actually deputies driving around telling people to quiet down because people were shooting off fireworks too late or something of that nature. And as I stated in my email, I just don't see that the percentages are high enough to justify having another ordinance. It seems like we've been able to deal with it the way it is. That's just the opinion of, myself and the sheriff's office.
Thank you.
Two responses, or two complaints. 2013.
There are 2 complaints from 2016 to 2023.
And on the ones with the loud vehicle, we counted the last one that we just had as one. We worked that all under one case that happened within a week of that, so we didn't generate any calls. So you could say there were 3, I guess, because there were 2 on that subject this year, but it was all dealt with in the same package.
So this is obviously something we're going to do 3 times. You can move to pass this and insert the time. That's why in the ordinance itself, there's still X's. Don't have to pass it. You can pass some of it. The muffler and give things is not currently in our code. Maybe that's a portion of it you want to pass and not the quiet hours time. It's really where you need to put your heads together and determine what you think is best for the quiet hours of the year.
I guess, how do we feel about 79% of the respondents wanted that quiet hours time? And do you feel a time frame would be beneficial at this point? Or
I feel like 75%. I mean, you're looking at 1/10 of the population
Right.
responded to the surveys, so there's 90% of the public that didn't respond. Well, maybe a little more, or a little less than 90, or a little more than 90% or less. I think we just need to use our existing ordinances to deal with this personally.
Kind of in agreement with the sheriff.
at least the east has to be the one that's enforcing it. We also have it written out, so the other question is, we kind of we can technically, since it's currently working, if it stops working, then we already have this already kind of like ready to immediately go.
3 readings, is that lasts? Like how long? My recommendation would be that you start over if you're starting the process again. Yeah. Just because.
And it's important to know that while it's not in our city code, the muffler stuff is actually covered in the Nebraska Revised Statute too, so it's sort of redundant to have it in there. I mean,
So it's already covered, so we
it's,
would
it's,
already,
it's a state statute. They have to have a working, that's word for word from Nebraska Revised Statute 60-6286.
so we already, basically, we already.
Other than inserting the municipality of Grant, that's word for word. But if you want to see it, so be it.
it's sad that the total responses were so low compared to the population of the city, but those that did respond were pretty vocal about wanting a code, so I don't know, to be honest, before we started this process, we always behaved with the assumption that we had one, because I kind of felt like it's just what you do. So, right, yeah. I feel like we've done the work and we know what people who do care enough to speak up about it, how they feel about it. I'm okay to ask for them, to be honest. I guess I feel like it makes things a bit more cut and dry if we have something specific.
Right.
So is that a motion?
We're not gonna pick a time, which, I mean, it's been picked, but that's not what I would have picked, so, you know, here we go.
There's also the option to table it.
There is one, 10 rows, second
All
one, too.
Yep.
the data.
Yeah,
we have all the
because then
data.
we would have the hours, if, you know, we have another reading, table it, have another reading. That is always an option. So now you're at 10 minutes.
Okay, I think from the last meeting to this meeting, we had 2 more responses.
I mean,
Yeah, I've already closed it, so it's gonna be really hard.
No, I don't know if we did this, but we also have now the kind of full picture of,
Yeah.
basically. Now that we have all the data on the last reading, I don't know.
And the data from.
And I did, yeah, the data from the sheriff, and also there's 10 of them on the sheriff that would have qualified under if we had picked the most common time frame, 9 PM to 8 AM. There's 10 that would have qualified for that.
So, we have a little more background though, the fireworks, we've had also like, the period that they had to read more of them might have been when we had restricted shooting hours and not on the state schedule. So at one time we had that you couldn't shoot them off for as long a period as the state allows you. So I know some of that was maybe during that period and stuff too, so some of that can be addressed then potentially in the fireworks.
Right,
So it's not gonna be potentially in this one too in some ways, I guess. Barking dogs is still gonna be addressed in the animal side some, and we still have bodies in another spot.
So I mean, all of that is addressed in
All
our
that's
current,
addressed, yeah.
in our current ordinance.
so if a motion were made, we would, since the ordinance doesn't currently list the hours, those don't have to have been read, right? We
Your motion would include the hours.
include to include the hours, and that's okay. Because we've always stated that we're going to move forward with our survey responses.
And that's why I didn't want to put it in there, because knowing that they could be added to the motion too. It would have every motion for the ordinance.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance 230601. Determining quiet hours between the times of 9 PM to 8 AM.
Second.
Kimberly moved and Seth second that we approve ordinance number 230601. Having quiet hours between 9 PM and 8 AM. Any more discussion?
Does that include fireworks too, or is fireworks still still follow
We have to
the
go back
state?
in and change that.
No, I'm not, I'm asking a question, is that put the fireworks in there, or does fireworks could stay at where we're at now?
Fireworks, okay. This does not repeal the fireworks thing.
And we're not changing
Okay.
fireworks. And we're not changing. Fireworks hours would stay the same.
Yeah.
We can rework that one some other.
If-
All right, any other discussion? Tierney, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Andrew? No. Motion carried. Alrighty, Jesse, would you please read ordinance number 230602?
Ordinance number 23-06-02, ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Grant, Perkins County, Nebraska, amending section 1-306, place, day, time, forum of Article 3, meeting of Chapter 1, Civil Administration of the City of Grant Revised Municipal Code, changing the regular meeting day from the second and fourth Monday to the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing when this ordinance is in full force and effect.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 230602, changing the place, date, and time of council meetings.
Second.
Currently moved and Tierney second that we approve ordinance number 230602, changing the place, date, and time of the city council meeting.
Any more discussion? Just a reminder, this is again what's came about because of the publication of the newspapers causing trouble with our notices. Thank you.
Any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Andrew? Yes. Tierney?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. So that will take effect to the 8th.
So your next meeting with that motion being carried, will be August 8th at 7 p.m.
So if you show up Monday, you'll be by yourself.
You know, I might just.
All right, action and discussion on ordinance number 230701, ordinance for the compensation of all officers and employees of the city of Grant. This is the second reading, Jesse, please.
Ordinance number 23-07-01, an ordinance for the compensation of all officers and employees of the city of Grant for the fiscal year of October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024, repealing all other conflicting ordinances, conflicting sections of ordinances, and providing for the effective date.
Perfect. And I think we've looked over this before. Just keep it in mind, if you have more questions, definitely bring them. You do have a question.
So I'm wondering, is there a way to do like a, see if I can do this best way to explain. So basically, if you got like extra, so like as a nurse, and I work on the floor as a nurse, I had to be certified to work as a nurse. I had to maintain my license. I had to maintain a certain amount of education. All those were required to my job description. If I did things that were above that, like I went and got a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, there was a shift differential for that particular item. So it was within my degree, what I was helping with. If I went and got certified in critical care, I would be extra money that way, a differential. But if I went and got forklift certified, that didn't matter because I don't drive a forklift. So I know we have people that have a certain amount of minimum requirements that they have to maintain their job. Is there a way that you can, people go above and beyond or get those extra certifications? Then is there a possibility to give a shift differential to those individuals? That way, if we have employ someone, they can, if they go and do more, then they can earn more.
So there would have to be a change in the job requirements, to list those specifically as a requirement of the job. They're not a requirement of the job and you go and get an extra degree or something, even if it's in the field,
There's no way to
we
like,
would have to change the job description. To list it as a requirement.
So like, for instance, the public work assistant has to have
Or
So
certificates
they
right
have to be
now.
grade 6, grade 4. Pests to spray for mosquitoes. We require them to have a pool operator and Class B CDL. So they have 5
Or
requirements.
certificates, one license.
4 certificates and 1 license, yes.
So I get that, that's the minimum, that's required.
Right.
So if they were, is there a way to have it where if you got above that, then you could be rewarded that individual, they get like an extra 30 cents an hour or
We
something
can
like that?
change that in the employee handbook. I mean, it would, I think it would come down to, you would have to approve it.
Well, I got
Or
that,
give me the approval, I mean, one of the two, I mean, somebody goes out, just gets a degree just to get a degree.
but it has to do with it within their profession that actually, rewards what they're currently doing, or makes something adds additional value to their job. You can't get a degree in poultry science, and think that you're gonna be a better pool operator, I mean, I'm not gonna accept that.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, we can revisit that if you want to reopen the employee manual. Sure.
I just think that that'd be I think it'd be a good way to reward that extra work, that extra education that is helping. I think it helps the city, most kind of situations when you do that. So, but then again, but then if somebody else comes, he doesn't automatically say, this job gets this amount of money because this individual went above and beyond. Somebody else, that person leaves, all of a sudden the next person comes in, doesn't automatically get right where they're at because they have these extra certifications that can justify that increase in pay.
We can reopen employee manual and review that section.
It would still though be within the ordinance.
Ordinance has caps on it.
Yeah, you have to add, we have to change the ordinance to add that,
Right.
to put in a range for that. We know if they're gonna get 2 certificates that year or
And it can certainly
2
max,
diplomas that
yeah.
year or whatever.
I mean, if I got a bachelor's and a master's and a certificate, there was a max out, I mean, they just keep going, they got paid for the bachelor's or the master's.
So, yeah, we know we will have to reopen the pre-readings of the wage ordinance. And then,
Are you meaning that for this year or are you thinking for the future?
We can certainly do it for the future, you know what I mean? But I think it's something we should definitely look into, I think we can't not pass this or move this forward. I mean, we've done that before where we passed the wage ordinance and then went back and looked at it within the next 6 months and passed it again, So I wouldn't put this on hold.
Yeah, that'll
But I
also
would-
have our budget.
Right, but I wouldn't say that I wouldn't want to revisit it if that's a way that we can, add value to our, and
we
pay
can
for our
look at
employees.
it as a package deal.
Yeah,
So today, Ed, when you're hiring for positions, do you use, I don't know if we've had a qualified applicant where you would consider that, but do you use the range to make an offer at hiring, or are you usually starting at the bottom of the range to allow for additional certifications? Because I think in my head that we have, the range helps us to figure that out at hiring, like, where I'm gonna pay a more qualified individual maybe a little bit more than I would someone who has no experience in the role. But to your point, we don't really have anything in place for growth.
Right.
After you've already been employed and maybe attain that certificate.
Their range certainly helps. I mean, if you start at quote unquote the bottom of the range, that gives them opportunity for growth. So what happens is like your CDL is worth 25 cents. Grade 6, grade 4 water operators were sent for 25 cents. Grade 4 backflow is worth 25 cents. Pest is worth 25 cents, and pool operators worth $9.
So we're already rewarding them in a way.
Yes.
but if you have somebody who's at, 25 years of experience, who's walking in, you're gonna be top of the scale, like, oh, I have these extra 2 certifications, and you say, well, you know what, actually, you have this extra 2, we can not only give you the top pay scale, but we can actually, compensate you for those as well.
So it would just depend on the applicant there, and who is applying, if I'm looking for the public works 1 position or the public works 4 position, obviously I'm looking for a more qualified individual, not an entry level position. So I'm gonna probably start them out at a little higher rate, or as high a rate as I can, without topping out.
I think it's something to discuss.
Good questions. Any other questions? Again, that was the second reading of ordinance number 230701.
All right.
Hi everyone, Sam Redfern, their nuisance officer from West Central. We have some action items tonight to touch on with the nuisance program. Before we get into that, I just have to remind you that West Central does more than just nuisance. So if there are other projects we can support your community in, we're happy to do that. So just give us a call. With that being said, your program update as of now is we had one property posted. This means that either the property owner or the property owner and the tenant didn't pick up the declared certified letter. Because of this, we can't verify they received that certified letter, so we have to physically post the property and also publish it. So those properties get delayed a little bit in the process. We currently have 8 extensions. Tonight, there are 5 up to rescind from 2023 and 3 up to rescind from 2021. There are 8 properties to be declared by resolution and 3 up for a motion to abate. So we'll get to all of those through the agenda, but we'll start tonight with the unfinished business from last month. So these were properties that were on the agenda last month to declare, or we had given them an extension internally in our office. I will say there are some properties on your agenda that aren't on my list. Those properties were all cleared, and I'll point them out to you as we go through. But I think because they were laid on the table last month, they were on the agenda again this month, so.
And so we'll start with resolution 230603 829 Garfield Avenue.
And this property cleared. It's West Central's policy to not take photos of cleared properties. I'm not sure if they need to take action to deny, or can we just no action? Perfect, all right. So the next property is case 2023 grant 821 Garfield Avenue. An extension was given by the council on this property, and unfortunately no progress was made. Nuisance items include trash, building materials, scrap wood and metal, and a broken fence piece.
This is resolution 230604 821 Garfield Avenue.
I move to accept 230604 resolution 821 Garfield Avenue.
Andrew moved, Tierney second, that we accept resolution 230603 declaring 829 Garfield Avenue a nuisance. Or I'm sorry, 821. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong line. Resolution, thank you. Resolution number 230604 declaring 821 Garfield Avenue a nuisance. Any discussion? Andrea, how do you vote? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Kimberly? Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. All right, on to nuisance, resolution number 230606 826 Garfield.
Case 10 is 826 Garfield. This property owner called us, the council gave them an extension on June 26th. Unfortunately, no progress was made. This property, the nuisance items include broken furniture and unsecured structure. Talk to the property owner and let them know what our expectations were for the property.
It's an action on resolution number 230606, resolution for the grant declaring nuisance property 826 Garfield Avenue.
Sorry.
Tierney moved and Sam second that we accept resolution 230606 declaring 826 Garfield Avenue a nuisance. Any discussion? Kimberly, how do you vote? Yes. Tierney? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Andrew? Yes. Motion carried. All right, resolution 230609.
913 Sherman Avenue, or property ID 6800686635. This property cleared.
No action. We will move on to resolution 230610 839 Sherman.
This property has dead trees and parts thereof. The council granted them an extension to July 16th. We've had no progress or communication.
We accept action on resolution number 230610 declared a nuisance on property 839 Sherman Avenue. Second.
Tierney moved, Kimberly second, that we accept resolution number 230610, declaring a nuisance at 839 Sherman Ave. Any discussion?
I have a question. Yes. How are the letters mailed to property owners in like a situation like this, to personal representatives?
We mail the letters to the person listed on the GIS assessor site. So however it's stated with the assessor who owns the property, that's who we mail the letters to. With the hope that if someone isn't there to receive them, someone else is getting their mail or.
And did the letters come back or no?
I don't think we received these back, but we haven't, I'd have to check it. Do you want me to check?
Well, I just know personally that both of the people that lived in our house and their family lives way.
I
eastern
think
part
I
of the state,
remember sending it
or
to
they're in
California.
California.
I
Yes.
remember sending it to California. So the extension letter went to PO Box 411 in Cambridge. But if there's another address, we'd be happy to send letters there. GIS updated, it's perfect. So if you'd like me to check on that one, I can have to.
Right now, we have a
We have a
motion.
motion in the second, so you can pull your motion. The person who made the first motion can pull their motion from the floor. And you have to make another motion to table this until such and such date, or you can continue your vote.
Do we know that the PO box that you sent it to, is that the owner, that house?
I have a signed return receipt for the courtesy letter. I can't, the extension letter isn't sent certified, so I can't verify what happened with that.
So the first one, someone signed, did sign for it.
Yep.
Okay, so we know that someone did the.
Also other ones that already approved in this second and last time, so it's one of those things. It's not necessarily your responsibility to make sure that people are doing the right thing, make sure everybody's getting it. You didn't need to treat all of it the same or. Actually, you treat all of it the same.
And just a reminder that the declared letter isn't, it's just officially putting them into the program. They'll still have another letter, certified and regular, a time period to complete it. They could call us for an extension, same as always, so.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, resolution 230610, declaring a nuisance at 839 Sherman Avenue. Any more discussion? Kimberly, how do you vote? Yes. Attorney? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Adrian? Yes. Motion. All right.
Okay.
Resolution 230611, 835 Sherman Avenue.
Perfect. Case 23, this property had auto parts and scrap metal. The council extended this property to July 16th. We have seen no progress or communication.
We accept action on resolution number 230611, resolution Nebraska declaring this as property 835 Sherman Avenue.
Second.
Sorry, was that you? Sorry, Sam moved and Kimberly second, that we accept resolution 230611, declaring a nuisance at 835 Sherman Avenue. Any discussion? Tierney, how do you vote? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Andrew? Kimberly? Yes. Motion carried. All right, resolution 230612 at 821 Sherman. It looks like it has cleared. So no action on that. Resolution 230613, 317 West 8th Street, looks like that has cleared as well. Resolution 230623 at 604 Lincoln Avenue, that has cleared as well.
Resolution 230624, and that has cleared as well.
Only with those funds.
Okay, we'll have you back up in just a moment.
If you, can we do that now? If we want to change the agenda now.
Just move first up.
The budget library, or not the library, Samantha, I'm sorry.
Okay, you wait, okay.
You're going to do our front rating.
I'll go out.
So we're fine. Got it. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay.
So that just finishes it. Yeah.
New business, action and discussion on municipal rates and fees. Now, I remember the auditors at one time mentioned that this is something we need to be looking at soon. Is it this year or no?
No, they had recommended the fiscal policy, we reviewed and we are working on that with them. Municipal rates and fees are reviewed annually, just as prepared everything for you, not recommending any changes at this time. No changes are necessary at this time.
And a lot of times we wind up and go through it, address it when we do have that, the utility rates we may have
Sorry,
with, the auditors during budget or the audit, they may give us a recommendation if they see something or, if it's a cheapness in code or that, and we address that. So, and it does start to be, we can see anything that's involved in needs to be addressed.
Looks like.
our rates and fees are adequate for the services we provide.
Okay, so everything is adequate to 2019 and 2013, or 2019 for the water fees. And they're fine.
And we'll be, doing a rate study here shortly with phone and things like that. So
Okay.
some of this will be addressed as we go through the process.
Okay, great. That was my question. Yes. How do you determine that it's sufficient?
So we work with Nebraska Rural Water, they call him a rider, whoever our rider is for this area. I think it's still Randy Helbush, he's been around for millennia. But he'll come in and, be part of, because of the improvements that we made with the water improvements, part of that would be a requirement would be a water rate study. Otherwise, we would have initiated one anyways. We make, I would say donation. Make a donation to Nebraska Rural Water because they don't charge for that service. But it is a value added service to us. And then the same thing with the electrical rates and fees. We'll be working with me. They had some turnover in that department. But we'll be working with me to do a study there as well. Me and Midwest.
We need to accept these.
Move to accept action on municipal rates and fees.
Sam moved and Tierney second that we accept the municipal rates and fees as presented. Any more discussion? Kimberly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tierney? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Andrew? Motion carried. Thank you guys. Thanks for answering our questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse puts a lot of work into those, maintaining them, keeping them up to date, making sure that the auditors have access to them. So she does a lot of work on that. The next action item, we're gonna need to set a date time for budget workshop. Oh, my bad, I jumped one. Sorry,
And no jumping, we get to do the jumping.
no jumping, it's there.
All right. Turn the page two. We are on the library budget presentation. Ashley, are you doing that for us?
Sure, I'll get started and probably defer to my librarian here. My name is Ashley Colblazer. I'm the president of the library board and serving the 5th year of my first term on the board. What you have in your packet is the library board's suggestion for their budget and what we feel we need to run the library in accordance with what the community expects from the library. Some of the, I guess I'll maybe hit the high points. So the major thing that we're asking for more money from the city is to cover additional payroll. And the reason for that is we started the budget discussion as a board with where do we need to be on employee payroll. And I don't know if it was Dan Thompson that asked, okay, we would have to advertise for new employees. What would we have to advertise as an hourly rate? So that kind of guided the discussion. And then what we would like to do is raise the rates for our librarian and our assistant librarians. So what we're looking at is hopefully moving our library director, who currently makes $28.6 an hour currently, to $23 an hour. And I guess back to the discussion of what we thought we would have to advertise that position as, we kind of thought $25 an hour is probably what would attract a quality candidate. Now, that's a pretty big stretch, so we rested on 23. And that number reflects years of service that our director's been with us, and the fact that we do have quality employees that work at the library. For our assistant librarians, we'd like to move them from $13 an hour to $15. Again, they've been with us for over 8 years now. We have very quality assistant librarians. And we also need to get ahead of the minimum wage state law too. So that was the thinking there. Any other increases and decreases that you see in our budget are pretty minimal next to that. We've trimmed operating costs where we can. We've tried to outsource different costs, whether it's, we've got the donation idea open at Hatches. You know, you can give your money to the food pantry, you can give it to school project at the time, you can give your money to the library. So our librarians are buying cleaning supplies there, so that's not on the city budget as much. We're leaning on the foundation a little bit more. Just trying to run a pretty tight ship over there as best we can.
Do you know the number of adult patrons?
Yes, okay, so Mayor Schmidt requested last night if there would be a breakdown of the demographic of patrons of our library. And so Robin was able to compile that information for you today, so I'll hand out a couple different things here. So this hopefully will give you a pretty good picture of who's using the library, city versus county residents. So your first page here, this shows our circulation on a monthly basis by demographic. And this is something that's in the library board's packet every month that Robin prepares for us. So you can see basically what it boils down to is we have in the neighborhood of 54 to 55% of patrons from the city are checking out. This is just printed materials.
Yes.
On this front sheet. So we have a 55-45 split. So 55% of people are city residents that are checking out printed materials, and 45% are from countywide. Now, we also have what's called Overdrive. That's our digital library. So for example, someone like me, I live within city limits. I'm out at the farm this season. So most of my book consumption is audio. So I'm going on and I'm downloading books from Overdrive. So I'm using the library, but I'm not stepping foot in the library. There would be multiple people like me or out of county utilizing that service as well. But this is just your print circulation, your book in hand. The second page that Robin has prepared for us just gives a rundown of library cards that have been issued. And so she's got a breakdown, city, county, adult, child, and YA category is young adult. So, and I'd just like to point out, kudos to our library staff. They ordered a bunch of cards in 2000, and we are still using that set of cards. So what they do is every year they go through and take out deceased patrons or people who moved away that they know aren't coming back, and then they recapture those card numbers and reissue them.
Point of clarity,
Sorry.
it hasn't been since 2000.
Oh, sorry.
It's been since 2010. And we switched 2000 is just for the council's information. 2000 is the year that the library started automating. And so before that, you were still signing your name on the card in the front of the book. And so that's why we've been using the same like 1,600 cards since 2010, when we switched to our new circulation system.
So, we're pretty,
Anyway, we're being thrifty.
thank you for giving these numbers, that helps us with the overall picture of the library.
One more thing I'd like to hand out. So every year or close to every year, the Library Commission does a study, and basically it's called How Much Does Your Library Benefit Your Community? And so this actually just came out on Friday, so I will, just for your information.
Sorry.
So that could be reading material that you go home. Yes, that could be right now.
So you need a copy. Do you have another copy? Jesse?
You know what, I think I've got a pile of stuff, so maybe.
I just want to point out too that the commission does that every year. It was very coincidental that we received them on Friday. The data coordinator completed them for all of the libraries across the state. And you might have heard them referred to as return on investments and ROI. And he completed them for every library in the state, and we just got it Friday afternoon. So I didn't actually see it until today. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Ashley? I have a question. Just a minute. So I've had, calls in support of the library, which, we do get every year, that we definitely want to keep our library going and we love it, but I have also had people talk to me that they want to see less franchise fees going to the library. They would prefer, they don't use library, their friends don't use the library, and would like to see those franchise fees go to streets, if they're happy about the streets. So I've heard both, as you would say, both sides of the coin from different people in the community. So that is something we also need to be mindful of, is that it is a delicate balancing act of, we're never going to please everybody. Somebody is always going to be unhappy. But as overall, what works for doing what is the best for the community of our size. So that is something to keep in mind, both sides. We do, as you can see, we do have a lot of patrons that go to the library and enjoy the resource. I know when my girls were little, we had no air conditioning in our house. They were very broke and lived in the South. And we were at the library all the time, and my daughter could read well before kindergarten because of it. And it was because of free air conditioning. Now, I'm not sure if there are people that still do that, but I bet there are. So with that, you want to go ahead and go over our material.
So what you guys didn't get to see is Robin provided a lot of data at the meeting, a lot of data at the meeting. Very thankful for that. So as I do the wage sheets for you guys, and I say, okay, this is what we look like when we compare to other communities our size. Robin did that with the Nebraska Library Commission. I think it was like 10 pages.
It was.
It was a lot. It was a lot of data. So, and I appreciate that. So I was able to extrapolate that data with the communities that you had guided me to compare to. And I included that in your packet. And again, this is just for the directors of for the communities that we compared to. We compared to 10 communities. What I also included in there is the franchise fees worksheet, what looks like if we do what they're asking for versus the 4% that you're proposing for your comparison. So I have copies of that.
And the updated ones we handed out to you.
Yep.
Today.
I don't need that. So I will share that data with you and didn't get it done, but I would be happy to answer any questions on there.
Now, the reason Imperial's on there is because they're 3 times the tax rates,
It's
correct?
not on there?
Correct.
Yeah, we do not compare to Imperial or Ogallala by any means. They're at least 3 times our tax rates. And not to mention 1,000 more people. So these are the communities, same communities I used when I gave you the wage sheets for all of the other employees, and how we compare to them.
So playing the devil's advocate, let's say we go and with the recommendation of the library board, how are the other employees going to react when they get a 4%?
I'll be back in here for another ordinance change for a wage adjustment for them. Or they'll walk.
Can I speak to that? So if you look at the last 5 years of what Robin specifically has made, our adjustments, let's call it cost of living, and you go off of, I forget what you use, the Midwest.
Nebraska pay survey.
No, the
No,
CPI.
oh, sorry, yes, the Midwest region, the consumer price index.
Yeah, so that has averaged 4% over the last 5 years. And our adjustments to Robin's wage has matched that. However, at the beginning of those 5 years, she was low. And she's been perpetually low for her position. And so what we're proposing here is to get her caught up to where we feel she should be, what she should be earning for her years of service and just her quality job.
So you're looking at more of, what is it called?
An not a merit adjustment, but bringing her in line. The term escapes me.
Well, yeah, I don't know, there is a term.
Sorry, it doesn't matter the term, but but that is the purpose.
The communities that you had guided me to compare to, that we are comparable with, we're in the middle, we're average.
We're at, so we're right in the middle compared to what we use for our other employees.
Yes.
Right, however, looking at that for our library director isn't necessarily apples to apples, because you have part-time library directors thrown in there. The plethora of information that Ed referred to that Robin provided us,
compared us to different libraries and service, areas that had similar circulation to us. I mean, libraries that looked more like our library and operated more like our library, and comparing to that. The overall average hourly wage, correct me if I'm wrong, was just over $23 an hour. I think it was just over 23. So yeah, we're coming in, 23.17 is kind of what that came up with. And again, we really wanted to push for 25, but 23 is what we ultimately ended up.
And these other communities that are similar to ours, how do they raise the funds?
That's a good question.
So
I don't have the answer.
they asked me the same question and I've done. Not all of them have responded, but I did get quite a few responses. And the majority of them fund them through private taxes. We're unique because we own our electrical system, therefore we can fund park and recs, streets, library with a franchise fee. But the majority of the communities fund them with property taxes. And or fundraisers.
Robin, how long have you worked at the library?
16 years. I started in October of 2007.
Again, so it will be
This October.
in Val
Their
and Sarah.
anniversary.
Well-
Will be 8 years this November, right?
And do those libraries, those similar libraries also have 2 part-time employees?
I didn't bring all that information. No. Some of them have more. I mean, I didn't realize I was gonna need that information. I didn't bring it. I can run
Well,
and grab it, but
Every library does things differently. This piece of paper shows what they have.
It says full-time library.
Just the ones that
Just
we.
the ones that
Oh,
we
do
have.
you?
She's talking about the list they have in the library.
and there's a difference between full-time and full-time equivalent. And so, like, we have 2 full-time equivalent employees because, and some libraries may have 2 full-time equivalent employees, but they actually have not a full-time person working there at all. Everybody works part-time, or they have 1 full-time person. And I know UTAN, which is one of the libraries, has 8 employees, but only 1 full-time equivalent. So it varies from library to library.
Because that,
Just like our employees, and we're again, less because we outsource our electrical work, but other communities have
your
additional
linemen
3
or
or 4
sheriff or.
linemen. They have their own police service, they don't contract through the county. Just to their point, you can go one town to the next, and every town's gonna have different operations. As far as full-time employees, how that operates. That's really a tough one to compare.
I'm just trying to like get an overall picture of.
Yeah, I've seen an average of $20.03. Also, with what I talked about earlier, is there a possibility to have like a loyalty bonus like every 5 to 10 years?
We have that.
You have that, okay, just a
They
single.
get a longevity pay every 5. You have 5 years, 10 years, 15.
It's a lump sum.
Lump sum like every,
Yeah,
okay,
it's a lump
gotcha,
sum.
so we do that,
Yeah.
okay, that's good, that's great.
Again, as far as the franchise fees go, what I provided you there, and really get back to the big picture. What you're gonna do is provide them with a number.
Right.
You're gonna say, we're gonna give you X amount of franchise fees. If you can make those wages work, great, that's well within their rights to do so. They need to come back and tell us what those wages are, so we can put them in the ordinance before the final reading.
So we're kind of getting in the weeds here, because really all we need to do is decide how much of the franchise fees we're giving. Or if we're giving funds from someone else. However, we decide to fund the library. Because the board is the one that actually makes, they're the governing body, so they make the decision on where the money goes.
Okay.
So if we, I am not at all in any shape or form of any way decreasing our other departments. Just because I've had enough people tell me that they would like those increased budget for those departments, the sewer, the streets. So it's problematic to take from those departments.
Well, how much franchise fees do we have available?
210,000
Okay.
in a typical year.
So-
In a typical year. Now, that's 10% of gross revenue. We estimate it to be 200,000 based on the current rates and fees. However, maybe like this year, we had a really light month because we received a lot of rain. There wasn't a lot of electricity being used it was cooler. Now we're heating up now and they're forecasting sort of an Indian summer, so maybe we'll make up for that. But June, the last June numbers were about 20,000 less than they were the year prior in June. Now, reminder, last June was a drought. So electricity everybody was pumping the AC, trying to get their grass to stay green. So we got a little bit higher. But it's 10% of the gross revenue, $210,000 is what we anticipate that amount to be available.
I see it.
As our forecast, we're looking at it possibly not even hitting. We were hoping that it's gonna at least hit.
So
We're gonna be
we
close.
don't get that, let's just say we're 10,000 short, where do we pull?
Cash.
Okay.
We're coming out of cash.
And what did the auditors think when we did that, is that a problem?
It's not gonna be, it'll be a minimal amount, so.
It's not large enough, I mean, we're not, you have to get into the $50,000 to $100,000 mark for it to be used.
Okay, I see where it's at here now. The next fiscal year where we have the 130, where we got a full cemetery down by about 3,000. Parks and Rec by about 2,000, 2.5, and streets by about 3.
Every department will be decreased by $3,111. That receives.
Ah, there it is. Thank you. I see it now. Thank you.
Roughly, I think I rounded, sorry.
No, I'm just
There's some pennies in there.
pretty happy about, I kind of eyeballed that, so, Just trying to read your graph.
And Mayor said clearly, your obligation would be to give them a number. If we're gonna give you X amount of franchise fees, if you can make a wage increase higher than what we're going to give, fit into that.
So even with, and the 4% that we proposed, that also includes insurance.
5% for health insurance and 10% for property insurance.
We righted the health insurance because the health insurance was off.
Yeah, so what we didn't have last time was the actual, we had a partial picture for health insurance, we had a partial picture for property insurance. What we have now is a full picture. We got the breakdown, those will be in your July financials. But we did not have them in time for their budget, right? So.
But we said actual costs and.
But what you're seeing up there is actual. What I think is the franchise fee sheet is actual.
So even with the 4%, we're talking nearly $2,000 decrease from cemetery, park, and rec, and street. Is there another way to do this without decreasing those?
taxes,
Now,
or how you increase this by increasing the electric rate that we don't foresee doing that this time, so.
property taxes or electric.
So we're kind of stuck at the 210, and every year, everything's cost is gonna go up, and we have to look at that, because eventually then they're gonna, the Byron's gonna want $210 franchise fees, and we're not gonna have any money anywhere else. And it's over time, I'm not anticipating this next year, but I understand your costs go up every year, but if we have no way of making that fund bigger, and the only solution is to make everything smaller, then at what point do we ever recognize that we like having a library, and we like having nice streets, and we like having parks and rec, you know what I mean?
Shared pay budget, I mean, your budget. shared
Yeah.
pay taste.
I mean,
So in our other departments, though, when we're balancing budget, like, we are not increasing the franchise fees to those departments, but we are making decisions on a 4-year plan for equipment, for example, or a 5-year plan for equipment. So this year, let's just say, for example, in the street department, we do not expense funds for a huge new piece of equipment because we don't have it in the budget. We have to save for 4 years in that fund to be able to purchase that piece of equipment. So every 4 or 5 years, we are cycling in our departments to decide where to make our big expenditures. Right.
It's also capital outlay, it's different than, we're.
I'm just saying that's how we're
Yes.
working our departmental budgets.
So you're also though, your utilities are ran like a business, they have their own cash balance and their rates are getting you their operating income. The street department's a little bit different too because of how it's set up with the state and how state statutes are read. So you're operating it for similar to a business also because you're getting the state income coming in. So currently we aren't funding very much of it. For the street.
And the 4% that was in the franchise fees, again, those departments, I think we've worked through most of the worksheets through them, we were able to make those numbers work with those franchise fees at that 4% rate. So it is hit overall, but it's not a $9,300 hit overall. I'm not saying one way or the other, but
We aren't tight for the area.
we're not tight, but yeah, so.
And I didn't think about, we should have probably thrown our franchise sheet, history sheet in here, because that does help. Because it has the transfers, the franchise fees and your tax dollars, so it kind of helps you see the whole bigger picture of where all those revenues are coming from.
so these street numbers here, I mean, I'm thinking we fixed the worst intersection in town. We had an intersection, well,
It's the worst intersection, but okay.
A bad one.
I think it's, we've done anymore. Then we added south of town, and then we've done our downtown revitalization, like all our curves and lighting and that kind of stuff. So, am I wrong? I mean, I think like we really invest in the streets. It looks, it gives the impression we really invest in the streets very strongly in this town the last couple of years.
Yeah, so
And so what I think is that it's okay to, since we've done it so strongly last, we can literally point back to fixed curves that have been broken since I moved here. And I know they were broken before. I know they didn't break the day I moved here, so. So I think we have shown that we do take that seriously. And so.
but just as a reminder, the downtown project, the curbs and gutters, they came out of electrical,
Okay,
through the economic development, left hand and right hand. That didn't come out of streets.
so fixed streets.
And as far as the projects goes, we do have a half a percent of sales tax. That goes to streets, and that's what we use to fund a street project annually, every year, along with the highway allocation fund and so on and so forth. That gets us about between $150,000 and $200,000 a city block. Okay, that's what we can afford to do. We're 3 intersections, or 2.5 intersections, somewhere in there. That's what we can afford to do.
So if we make a compromise on this bottom one and go to $3,093 instead of where we were at, just over $5,000, what doesn't happen next year? And what doesn't happen if that $2,000 isn't there?
We just have to find it in the other expense item, the other line items to make up for it. The $3,000 isn't gonna cause a project not to happen.
Okay,
But I had to make that up
I understand.
in those other line items.
Okay,
Just like the library had to do, when they're considering, okay, we want this, we've got to cut this. They had to do the same thing. Andrew and I sat through the whole meeting, or no, I did, sorry. But the same process. So, okay, we want this, X amount of dollars, we gotta find it in other places in the budget for additional funding sources.
and
9 years. I don't really want to hire and struggle every single budget. Every time we come to this, it is a struggle, and we have one part unhappy and another part unhappy, and then we have like a competition battle between city office and the library, and she can't have this much because then the other employees want this much, and I can probably start it, but I'm not going to. I'm tired of every single time this budget is presented, it is always a struggle. There's never a time that we can just come and make it work or agree upon it without having to go through this every time. And I don't know what the solution really is. I really don't. But every time it's like this. And that's been all my. Yes, no matter who the mayor was, no matter who the city superintendent, manager was, it has been like this for 9 years.
A lot of the services that the library provides are intangible. That's just the way it is. You can't say, look, we repaired this street, here's your tax dollars at work, here's your franchise fee at work. What the library provides is blue sky in some cases, you know. Sometimes it's a place for a 75-year-old woman to come check out a book and then visit with. The only person she gets to visit with that whole day might be one of our librarians. It might be the place where the kid who doesn't have air conditioning at home gets to come read Harry Potter, and it's cool, and they can concentrate, and it's quiet. Now, one thing that the library's gotten used more for this year, copies. People are deciding it's too expensive to have their own printer at home and keep up with the ink, so they're coming to the library to get their copies made. And we talk about the price of everything is going up. It's inflation. What does it cost you to use the library? To step in the door, do they charge you a gate fee? Absolutely not. It is free. It is one of the few things in an inflationary environment that you can go and use for free. Can you put a value on that?
Every time we go over there, there's also people on the computer too. I think I see, I think the librarian's notes every month that reflected that. There's always somebody doing something. We gave you both sides of the coin, both sides of the, what does it look like, you know, I mean, it's just what it's what you know.
I don't know, I mean, some way, there's gotta be a way to say, this is where, how much we're gonna do without having giving and taking from other places all the time, like this every single time. But I'm also not into increasing electric rates 4% every single year to make everything work for them and the cemetery and the park and rec. I mean, but if we don't increase, if our rates don't increase, but well enough, costs increase constantly, no matter what. Same with park and rec. We got lifeguards are gonna get paid more next year because minimum wage is going up. I mean, everything costs more money. I do not want to raise the electric rates. That's not my point. But at the same time, how do they raise their budget to get things to match? How does everything raise budget? But we can't move our electric rates. It's always that's what it is.
every 9 years, that is what it is like, and there's gotta be a solution at some point every single time.
But maybe, when we complete our electric rate study, that they do suggest an increase. I don't know what that's gonna look like, so be your decision.
But that's not what I'm saying.
No,
I'm
no, no,
not saying
no,
that I want
no, no,
any
no.
kind of electric rate increase.
But the need may propose a rate increase based on, again, comparable communities and so on and so forth, but you don't have to take that rate increase if you don't want to. We are still in a good position within that department. We are meeting our fiscal policy, I'll put it that way, for that department, so.
So we could fund this by electrical rates, could we also fund it by funds elsewhere?
Yeah.
Tax dollars.
That's all.
So you could move one of these out of here. Not library, but you could move one of these others out of here and put it in with the general fund.
For however much you guys think you can
Now,
raise
does
the
that
taxes.
cause problems with the? Gotta send that postcard?
We could.
No, I'm asking, does it
So it
cause
depends,
a problem?
we don't know where our valuation is yet, that's the thing.
We want
That's
to
hard.
always.
Yeah.
What we're now talking about is additional requirements that the state has been. Okay.
So we use electrical, what do we use our meter water for? Is there any room in that?
Water department.
Just do we use all of it? I mean, I thought we had a pretty big fund of that, sit back,
We won't, I mean, we're water main.
that's all,
We have water main repairs that have to happen
all allocated.
every year.
Okay. It's just another
I mean,
utility, so.
It almost,
Again, we say multiple years for,
No, it's just,
For projects.
we have electrical, and so we also have water, so I was just thinking, is there?
it just almost feels like, I mean, I'm pretty sure we could ask on the ballot, do you wanna raise taxes for this, this, or this, or do you not wanna raise taxes? And I think I know the answer I would get. So I feel like we need to come to a decision for this year because the budget is what the budget is. We know roughly what we're working with, but I think we're pointing ourselves right back to city prioritization. What does the community want and what are they willing to pay for it? The community wanted a city pool, swimming pool. We raised funds for it. I mean, I know it's not the same thing, but in the sense that the pool's not ever gonna make money for the city, it's intangible. You know, we do have a swim team, it is, there are kids that love to read, there are kids that love to swim. Like, where does the city want us to put the money? Park and Rec talked about a long-term plan for the sports complex. We're back to wanting the champagne and having the beer budget, so for lack of a better analogy, excuse my reference, but I just feel like we all have our thoughts about as individuals, what we would like to see happen with regard to taxes or electric rates. We need to understand what the city wants. And I think we've had some input on it, to your point. I definitely don't think we want the library closing next year, but I also don't think the library will close next year with the budget that we have.
So
It's also a very weird situation that any money we give to the library decides what they wanna do with it, because at a city budgeting level, we decide what is fair for our employees, and we try to keep that equitable amongst all city employees, because we also don't want to lose one employee while making 4 or 5 happy, and we don't wanna lose 4 or 5 while making 1 happy, you know, so it's a sticky wicket.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
It
We
feels like a
can't-
no-win situation.
Yeah,
I mean, it literally does. I mean, because to me.
so I think the number that I came up with on that franchise fee sheet, with the 4% and the 5% for health insurance and the 10% for property insurance was around 126,000, right? 127,000 roughly. The number the library came up with was 130. I gave Ashley my sheet, so.
130,430.
So, I mean, you could find a happy place in the middle there too, and meet in the middle, but that's just another option.
Well, we did put the pool on the ballot too, though. People were willing to get their,
We did.
they did fundraise, they were willing to have their tax increase to make it a pool. So I think that your point is not without merit for next year to say it, maybe we can have the library, maybe some funding on the ballot too. But to Andrea's point, you know, maybe for the first time in 9 years, maybe we should not make it a fight.
Well, it's just, no, I meant not, I mean, both sides, it is always
I
been that
know,
way.
I'm just saying, just, you know, if everything's gonna get done, you know, we still got the money that's moved to a different spot, if it's not, none of the street stuff's not gonna get done, then, I mean,
I just look, one thing now is I look at like the cemetery, it does not have a large budget, and that is what they are getting for the budget. So when you take that from that department, you're taking, you know, that's.
so what's not gonna get done in the cemetery part?
No, it's your operating costs, so pretty soon, you're not gonna have enough to operate for that department either.
Really running out of cash.
And then, yeah, look at the cemetery too. I mean, they haven't come in here and asked to raise their budget for new flagpoles and all that kind of stuff. They fundraise. They fundraise for the kiosks. They fundraise for the flags, or the poles, you know what I mean? They fundraise for the stuff. They're not here asking every single year for more money. There's a point there too. I mean.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
another thing about the library that it has always bothered me, just myself personally, is, and I understand that they go to the county and get money, which they should, fully, I totally,
Well,
fully.
apparently they should
They-
get 45% of their money.
But they never put it in the line items, and you have no idea what they spent it for. And, you know, I understand it's your budget, but it's also our money that we're giving you and sustaining that building and keeping everything going, but we don't get to see the full picture.
Right, so the county money, we don't request, it's just given to us, so we never know whether we're getting
You don't
zero
walk in and
or
ask
eight.
for it,
I have called to ask and I was not given a number because they're not done with budget.
but you ask for it. You guys walk in and ask to have money put in a budget for you guys for certain expenses, and you take certain bills up there to have them paid, which none of us know any of them to be.
The money that comes from the county was given to the library, I assume before I was on the board, that kind of started, with the intention of supplementing the city's budget. The moment that the money from the county starts replacing money that should be coming from the city to run the library, we won't have that money anymore. So it's
But
what's been conveyed
my
to
only
me.
point is, okay, so you get whatever, 4, 8, 6, whatever $1,000 they're gonna give you. You know, if you put it in the line item as a revenue, and it doesn't matter if you're spending it all on books, I don't care, or you're spending it all on for the puzzle competition, or you're spending it on this, it should show what you're spending it for.
Sure, so I've
That's
requested.
my opinion on it.
Yeah,
I
so I've
mean-
requested quarterly for Robin to put together, because we also have the foundation take care of some expenses for the library, supplementing the city's budget. So quarterly, she puts together a report into our packet to show where that money has been spent. So, just off the top of my head, and Robin, you can chime in here, a lot of the county money gets used to buy those digital audiobooks, like I talked about on Overdrive, because with the assumption that people that are out of grant, maybe don't get into the library to check out physical copy books, and so they're more likely to use that digital library service. So we're using that money to increase our electronic book collection to offer to those.
I mean, I am not gatekeeping that information, like what we're spending it on. I have it. Like that's how I figured out that sheet that I gave you, like how much they spent, like we did like 79.83 or something. This year out of the $8,000, because that's as close as I could get to 8,000 without going over. And so like a lot of that, like Ashley said, was for books. I believe they've paid for our circulation system renewal for the past several years. That comes that normally came out of the city budget, but that's something that we've been able to move over. I mean, I have that information that I would be glad to share with you. It's not like I'm trying to hide where that money is going. I have, what's it called, the stuff you have to, the claim forms. I mean, I have the claim forms, I keep all of that stuff for the last however many years. Like I have the claim forms and the invoices that I keep, a copy goes to the county, so they have all that information too. And then I have the claim forms in my office. I mean, it's not like this like dirty little secret of, oh, we're, spending. I have all that information, and I have the same for the foundation. Like I have a database on my, I have a spreadsheet on my laptop that's like in the same spreadsheet, county expenses, foundation expenses, and then that's how I go through every year and do the budget comparison that I included in your packet today.
Well, that's one thing,
So just have it as a line item on the budget though, because it should be an income and an expense. I understand, like, if you're trying to make it clear for the city, what's happening with the city budget.
But
That's
if the
still a
money doesn't
picture of
go through
budget.
the city,
I understand that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if I'm running a business and I have a budget, I don't have 3 different budget sheets depending on where money's coming in. I need to know how it's coming in and how it's going out. Again, we don't get to decide how money is spent, so I guess, I mean, I don't know what happens if you don't spend $6,000 on books for 1 year and you use that 6,000 on.
yeah, we lose accreditation status and we don't get the $60,000+ in grants that we've gotten over the past couple of years, so. I mean,
I'm not saying lose accreditation, I'm just saying, I'm assuming you guys have watched through all of these, but I also know that there are, just like in the city, there are prioritizations, right? Are there any items which we just don't have for a year? We're not investing in this item for a year because it's important that we keep our staff and we keep developing and we
so,
keep people around. Like, I don't know if there's those dollars to
so
decide
the
not to spend.
problem is that the county and the foundation cannot pay for personnel and like operational costs. And when you look at the budget, we have pretty much cut as much as we can cut. If you look at the specific line items of the budget, because like, yeah, we can just come in as the library board and say, okay, we want $121,000 in 99 or $121.99. But we do break it out and we do work with the city manager to see this is how we're going to spend this money. So it's not like this is some giant charade and then we're gonna later be like, haha, suckers, we're gonna spend this on books. We do, like, we get our cost estimates from the city office on insurance and that
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean, there's
stuff.
no doubt that
So,
wages, insurance, all that, you guys are you have to continue to find room in the budget because
Right.
that goes up and we do mandate that all employees get X amount, which means also we're contributing more in these areas, I get that, that is totally out of control. And the bottom line is, we don't get to weigh in on what it is spent for, we don't get to prioritize, we just get to say whether the money is there or not. So, right, is this a library over expenditure year and a street, cemetery, and park and rec under expenditure year, or is it a balanced year for all departments? That's really all we need to say, and I feel like we get feedback on both. People who are passionate about streets are passionate about streets. People who are passionate about library are passionate about it, so either way, we're gonna take off someone, and that's the job. On the other side, we get to make some people happy, so.
I will say from the board's perspective,
if we have to trim or cut, we will cut hours of operation or we will cut staff hours. We're pretty firm on the livable wage and what we propose for an hourly wage.
Say again?
No.
So.
They can't close, but they can take their hours of operation, yes.
Amount of hours paid to. So it would be a big dent for some. Changes. Yeah, I don't know.
How difficult is it to put it on the ballot next year? I know this is but get franchise fees and then put it on the ballot for.
Franchise fees are not. Shoot.
Okay.
It would be sales tax.
It would be-
We can ask for like another 0.5.
You can propose another, we have 1%, you can go up 2%. Total. We're at 1% right now, so Nebraska's at 5.5%. City of Grant is at 6.5%. With 0.5% going to the pool, 0.5% going to streets. You can propose an additional 0.5%.
So how much is that half, how much is that half percent? How much is that?
Currently?
Yeah.
Right around 90,000. 90 to 100,000. Depending
Last time I
upon,
looked, that was.
depending on how much sales tax we generate.
Sure,
It
that's
may dip
what
way
people,
down.
what people buy.
Like at Christmas, it's like 115.
We sort of reached our plateau. I think we've reached our sweet spot in sales tax for Grant, especially after receiving the online portion starting about 3 years ago. So I think we're gonna we'll either see a slight decline or a plateau, one of the two.
So the thing with sales tax too, to go for the ballot question or something like that, is that there's more steps involved with it and it eventually sunsets. So there's that chance that the sales tax could just be gone because the public doesn't vote for it. So most of them kind of use it as a capital improvement type program. That's what we did because it's something that you're still controlling your operating through that.
Yeah,
If
because
we use it, sales tax increased for wages, for example, when that sunsets, then we're gonna be here having a really big.
It'll be
well, if you have, it looks like we're currently already at the point where we gotta figure out a way to raise taxes to keep things forward, otherwise just keep up here to pay Paul. And so I think the best way to do it is that you would have people have to set on the ballot first before we raised electrical rates. I would feel much better about having people vote for, whether they wanted to have their tax increase.
At least we would know the decision is not based on conversations in the street, phone calls.
Right.
It's
I
a
mean,
much bigger
if
percentage.
it doesn't pass, if it doesn't pass ballot initiative, then there you go. We'll have to do that.
So for this year, what do we like?
And 0.5% is just arbitrary. You could do it at 1%.
I mean, I'm with you on the street and I think, I think we can look to not make some improvements for a little bit to try to come to a compromise and help out with the library. The cemetery does make me a little bit nervous because it's such a
I
lean
don't wanna
budget
cut the
anyway.
cemetery at all.
And I know Park and Rec will be tough because we have wages there as well. We just don't get to control next year, so. We don't have to split it. We don't have to split it this way. We
Right.
can take it all from street. But I think we're also still in a scenario where we have to compromise between requests and what we can do financially without.
And then what happens when they, no matter what we give them, they raise the rates of the employees, and then you just heard Edward, how all of them are gonna walk out of his office when they do that supposedly. So then now what do we do? Because-
I'll definitely have
Well, that's what you
fire in
said.
my office. I mean, I would assume that we would have someone leave.
But that's their decision to make something. We have ours, but their decision to make beyond us.
I'm just saying,
Sure.
you got Edward, you just said, they're all gonna walk, was his
Well,
words.
he's the manager, he's trying to fight for people. I
Yes,
appreciate
yes,
that.
yes,
You know what I mean?
and I'm not, but I'm saying, then it.
Yeah.
But you have no control,
why this is.
they could pay them whatever they wanted and be open 20 hours a week if they please. Not that they are, not that they will, but
You're a real hard assets
there's
here.
really no.
We feel like we're playing catch up, much like the city played catch up last year with employees.
We did, but we played catch up while looking at the averages that we're sharing with you, and that average that we based all the other employee wages off of is far below what you're saying, your average.
And we're saying that average isn't really apples to apples with what our circulation and the type of library we have. It's comparable sized communities, I agree with that, but it's
So
not
what that means is we invest in our library far more than any
Yes.
community of our size, which is what our
That's why we
accountants
have
tell
this
us every
problem.
year.
Yeah.
Which is fine, it's a decision we've made, and I do agree with it, I mean, I'm good with where we're at, but I guess I'm just saying the right sizing, it's not working for me, because I want that to be standard for all employees, and we looked at it, we reviewed it, and we chose the communities based on their size, based on their tax base, based on percentages allotted to different departments, it was literally as close as we could get it, and I guarantee arguments could be made for, you know, every one of our positions not being equivalent to what we tried to compare it to, it's gonna happen.
Well, I made that same question when we did this, because you made a decision to do the right side wage correction, which was the right decision, but we didn't do right side plus COLA.
Right.
So yes, this year we thought, you saw that in the averages that I gave you, we fell back behind below average.
Yeah.
So is there a point in the future where we have to look at that again? Absolutely.
We're looking at every year.
Well, we're gonna look at it every year, what I'm saying is there a point where we look at the right side wage correction plus COLA, not just one or the other? But what we're saying, cost of living was the guidance that I received, and that's what I prepared the ordinance on.
Does this decision have to be made tonight?
In order to meet the budget timeline adjustment, because they're gonna have to hold a special meeting unless you accept the offer they're presenting.
Otherwise, we'll wind up
It's fine, it's
the
gonna be.
final reading for the wage ordinance is the next.
It's gonna be- okay.
So what I'm hearing is Grant has champagne level library on your budget.
That's an accurate statement of facts.
So they can even have champagne right now.
That's kind of what I'm hearing.
We like our nice things, you know.
One thing that hasn't been brought up, you saw by the numbers, we do serve a lot of county residents. I don't know if it's worth a conversation with the county in the future to develop an interlocal agreement to where they are every year absolutely going to budget and partner with the city to fund the library, because we do service the whole county, not just our 1,100 population. So.
I think that's a good idea, I think fundraising is a good idea too.
And you have people that'll back the library and fundraise. There's a board member that's not here tonight that was like, what can we do to fundraise? What can we do to fundraise?
Well, the library has a great foundation.
Yep, you have a foundation, yep,
Because people do support the library.
and we have a lot of good things in the library because of that. Unfortunately, our budget is like 78% payroll. And you can't fundraise to pay for payroll. You can't use the foundation to pay for payroll.
I am still with the 4% that we proposed at our last meeting. The number of council
That's the bottom of it,
is the one that I presented. The 121.
26.
That reflects 4%, and then 5% for health insurance, and 10% for property insurance.
like that we corrected, that they were behind on their health insurance, so they're doing they're using it off proposed budget, so it's not catching back up to the actual. So we try to go in and do a lot of those actual adjustments, so that they could still read that and try to get that adjusted.
So the cemetery loses $2,000, everybody loses $2,000. Right.
I really don't want the cemetery
Streets
streets.
is 4,000, cemetery is 9,000.
The cemetery not losing any money.
I just don't think it's.
They have like hardly any budget.
We can choose to not do stuff in the street, we just have to be prepared to answer to it. And we have made a lot, that's what this year. Yeah.
But the reality is that.
Yeah.
Right, and that did cause a lot of problems, was the hard part.
And that's the end of franchise and property tax on the it, so once that's gone, there's no more adjustments.
I can't make decisions, they don't allow me.
I don't see cemetery. I guess we're gonna take it from the street for now. And then we will come up with a budgeting plan for this. Because as Ashley and the rest of those, they are all volunteers. They should not have to be in the middle of this. It should be a lot easier, in my opinion. So can we strike it that the cemeteries are not going to lose the $2,000 and we want that?
Yeah, I mean, how did you guys it?
We'll just adjust it.
You guys
Is that
are
what we put in the
arbitrarily
motion?
deciding for how to take the money.
No, I think all we need is
You
a
just
dollar
did
amount.
a worksheet this way, so I mean, if you want,
It's just
if you
even
want
from all the
street
departments.
zeroed out, we'll just zero it out and adjust out.
Zero. Zero out.
Yeah.
Well, from franchise,
Yeah.
franchise.
For franchise, just for franchise.
Yeah.
Then it'll just adjust up that 2 months, it's
But that could be, like, that's not the wages that we allot for that department, that would be physical
Like I
improvement
said, we're,
potentially.
it's the whole extension.
Right, so we can decide.
Yeah.
We get to balance the street budget, so we can decide where the 2 or 4,000 comes from.
The
Okay.
streets currently getting 5,048.20. So 4% budget. Given the 126, 1963 to the library, the street is proposed to get 3,940.
Yeah.
So yes, if you wanted to play with that money, sure.
I'll make a motion for the library franchise fees to be $126,963.32. With no change to cemetery fees and zero out street fees, franchise fees if necessary.
Second.
Sarah moved and Andrea second, that we give $126,963.38 in franchise fees to the library, zeroing out or decreasing the street franchise fee to zero anymore decision. Tierney, how do you vote? Yes. Sam,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Kimberly,
Yes.
motion carried. Thank you, Ashley, for your hard work. Thank you for coming and presenting. Appreciate it. Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break, please. Rachel, hold it your bastards.
Also, I've been staring at your bag, like, it's really my Barbie. Nice. Yeah.
Well, you don't have your own.
I do too. Yeah, I bet. I got out of the library, and Tim and Brenda are running the street by the library, this is where I am.
Yeah.
Yes. it's right there.
So it's, no, I appreciate it. Hopefully it comes across as at least anonymous. Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashley. Ashley, do you think that your board's gonna have?
Yes.
Meeting,
Yeah.
No, I will schedule it tomorrow and then we. So the fourth would be when we'll do our mind lost flavor. And then.
I'm sorry, I told Jim, I tried to do drink mix in the thing and it was horrid.
Oh, no. Well, we need to know by the end of the week. I would say I'm probably in target.
I think so.
You probably want to know.
I'll put everybody in the availability is, but I'm thinking it'll be in the morning of.
I mean, it's just gonna say.
Whatever. Yeah, I'll reach out to everybody. Okay, moving on.
All right, thank you very much. Maybe.
I can't remember. for sure, but it seems like that was right.
Well, that's the case.
You know, the only other
See the whole thing without it.
we don't have to have it for the.
I think
All right.
Well, it's just.
We're going to.
Conversations.
Sure.
Okay, 9:05, we are back and roaring, ready to go and on to.
Okay. So we need to set, just like I said earlier, we need to set a date and time for a budget hearing so we can look at the worksheets and go over just that in detail.
We're hoping to have the worksheet completed by the next meeting so that you can kind of see the bigger picture and so we start to look at it, but we know we wouldn't get through everything probably. And then the problem is if we're going to keep the budget hearing then for the 30th, we are gonna have to publish the 4-year meeting on the 22nd. So that's, we're wondering if we need to have that workshop in there that week in between so that we can kind of know that this is what you guys want for your studies for your tax dollars. Because that's gonna have to be published in the notice. I mean, you're still gonna be able to discuss the budget on the 22nd meeting, but everything would be set in the hearing.
So realistically, we should receive evaluation the week of the 14th through the 18th, somewhere in there.
Towards the end.
But most likely Thursday or Friday. That would certainly help clear up the picture for the budget workshop. So keep that in mind when you're looking at that. Friday the 18th would be my suggestion, but nobody likes to meet on a Friday in the summer. That's also the week the school starts.
I would say, I felt
Chase
like
County Fair,
I don't want to, and I can't.
I'll probably call it bingo, unless you tell me I can't.
and I didn't know, yeah, but Wednesday or Thursday, hopefully we would hear from the county. Our county is usually good about getting it to us.
Very good. Very good.
A little bit earlier, but they are not required to get it to us by that date.
I'm sure we can call up there and get a ballpark. I mean, I did it last year. It was a little bit smaller ballpark, but I got a ballpark. So even earlier in the week would be fine if we did a Tuesday and we just met on Tuesday every day, not every month or every week in August. 8th, 15th, 22nd, and then Wednesday the 30th. So we're meeting every week in August regardless.
Might as well just stick with Tuesday.
So what does Tuesday the 15th look like? Back to school?
It's like a budget.
I would want to do it then.
Tuesday does not work for Andrea.
Tuesday, the 15th is the open house for the elementary school. And that means the bank is doing their back to school barbecue and I will have to be present at that.
Wednesday we'll go Tuesday, Wednesday.
As in the 16th.
16th.
That'd be fine.
When does school start?
Yeah, flight that day, because that's what time you guys want to do it. I can-
Is the barbecue the?
It's a big Zoom in, so.
I'm sorry.
The night before. It's the 15th.
School starts at 17.
It's the school, the
Back to school is
elementary back is the 16th this year. Is what the school told us, so.
Tuesday, August 15th, back to school night, 6 to 7 p.m.
Tuesday's
That's
out.
Tuesday.
Tuesday's out. We're done. That's no.
But you're flying on Wednesday?
I will be flying to South Carolina on Wednesday, I can check what time, and I can zoom in, but I'll have to check and see what time I'm on the plane.
What about Monday?
Can't Zoom anymore, they won't allow that.
Yeah, he can Zoom, he just can't be counted as quorum.
Oh.
And where it's a budget workshop, yes.
Monday's fine,
Monday the 21st or 14th?
14th.
14th. On the
Can we do
workshop.
it the 21st?
I mean, as long as it takes, we should be done. I can get a ballpark, right? We don't have an actual number, but.
Can we not do it the 21st where we know you'd have them? And then we have to see each other 2 days
We
in a row?
could see each other 2 days in a row if you wanted to, too.
That would be fine with me.
Would Monday the 21st work better?
I mean, we already put planning Mondays to be the, okay, Monday the 21st works for me.
Yeah.
In the evening. Can't do it in the day.
What did I just hear, Portuguese?
21st.
In the evening.
In the evening?
Yeah.
We meet in the evening.
Okay.
We try to keep it, well, would you do 6 or 6:30 or 7? Just keep it the same, what do you think?
Same.
Yeah.
7?
Yeah, 6:35, so it's till 7:20.
The 21st at 7. Budget workshop. This way we have the county's numbers, Jesse and I'll crunch numbers and have a good picture, gooder's a word, a better picture. Say gooder because it's 9 o'clock at
The
night.
worst case scenario is if something happens, we'll have to have that to the paper then the following day. We'll probably keep space open. But we would have to call back to that section for 6.
So then we'll just see each other Monday and Tuesday. 21st and 22nd, 2 days in a row. You may want to count your blessings and buy a lottery ticket. I don't know. So I'll leave that as a motion.
Move to set our workshop on August 21st at City Hall at 7 o'clock.
Second.
Andrew moved, Kimberly second, that we set our budget workshop August 21st, City Hall, 7 PM. Any more discussion? Sam?
Yes.
Andrew, yes. Kimberly?
Yes. Jermaine? Yes.
Motion carried. Now, right back to our lovely guest, action item under new business, D, resolution 230701, 149 Washington, better known by its parcel number 68000327.
On all of, items D through K is our recommendation to rescind the declaration of nuisance. The properties are either cleared or they were abated, so they're not cleared.
We'll take individual motions, yes, please. Sorry.
Make a motion on resolution 230701 to clear. Rescind. Thank you. Oh, yeah, it says right there. Rescind.
Second. Kimberly moved, Andrea second, that we rescind resolution 230701 on parcel 68003827. Any discussion? Turning that vote?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Yeah, motion carried. All right. Very exciting. This is good. Resolution 230702.
Action on the resolution 30702, prior to resolution 10611. Property 143 Washington Ave. Second.
Terry moved and Kimberly second that we accept resolution 230702, rescinding 210611 on parcel number 68000335. Any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Andrew? Yes. Kimberly?
Yes.
Terry? Motion carried. All right. Action item F.
Move to take action on resolution 23-07-03. Resolution rescinding prior resolution 21-0612. Property 428 East Highway 23.
Second.
Sam moved that we accept resolution 230703. Kimberly second. Any discussion? Tierney, how do you vote? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Andrea? Yes. Kimberly?
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, resolution 230704.
I move to rescind Resolution 23-0704,
Second.
Henry moved, Kimberly second, that we accept resolution 230704, rescinding resolution 230607 on 836 Garfield Avenue. Any discussion? Andrea, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Kimberly?
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, resolution 230705.
Make a motion on resolution 230705 to rescind prior resolution 230617 at 447 West Sixth Street.
Kimberly moved, and Terry second, that we accept resolution 230705. Any discussion? Kimberly?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Andrea? Motion carried. All right, resolution 230706.
Make a motion to, resolution 230706 to rescind prior to resolution number 230622, property 635 Park.
Second.
Attorney moves, Sam seconds, that we accept resolution 230706. Any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Andrea? Yes. Kimberly?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution 230707.
Make a motion, resolution 230707 to rescind prior resolution 230625 at property 705 Lincoln Avenue.
Kimberly moved, Andrea seconds, that we accept resolution 230707, rescinding resolution 230625 at 705 Lincoln Avenue. Any discussion? Kimberly, will you vote?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Jenny? Yes. Motion carried. I'm supposed to mix it up. Sometimes you.
You did good. Your brain was really concentrated in your head on that one.
Oh, okay. Resolution 230708, rescinding resolution 230626 Lincoln Avenue.
I make a motion 230708 to rescind the resolution number 230626 Lincoln Avenue.
Henry moved, Tierney second, that we accept resolution 230708. Sam, any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. Kimberly? Yes. Terry? Yes. Motion carried, thank you. All right, resolution 230709, this one's different. Back to you.
These are properties that you haven't seen before, and they're up to be declared, so they got an extension prior to coming to the board, from our office and didn't make a change, so. The first property is case 4, 1228 Central Ave. They called us on June 7th, we gave them an extension until July 16th, and then we had no further communication or progress. This, the nuisance items include dead trees and parts thereof.
Then, this is action resolution 230709. Declaring a nuisance property 1228 Central Avenue.
Second.
Sam moved, Tierney second, that we accept resolution 230709, declaring a nuisance at 1228 Central Avenue. Any discussion?
When you give the discussion, is that like verbal on the phone?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there was a phone call.
So we know they know the date of the extension.
Right, and they also told exactly what needs.
Thank you. Good question. Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Motion carried. All right, resolution 230710, declaring a nuisance at 949 Sherman Avenue.
Again, these are dead trees and parts thereof. The property owner told us about this on June 16th. We gave an extension until July 16th, and then we had no further communication or progress.
Make a motion to, on resolution 230710 to declare a nuisance property at 949 Sherman Avenue.
Kimberly moved,
Tierney, second, that we accept resolution 230710, declaring a nuisance at 949 Sherman Avenue. Any discussion? Andrea, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kimberly? Yes. Tierney? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, action and discussion on resolution 230711, declaring a nuisance at, looks like parcel number 680005781, and then there's a legal description to help us out with that because it must not have a good address.
So we received a owner from a representative of the property, or a call from the owner. We received a call from a representative of the property owner on June 19th. We gave an extension until July 14th, and there was no progress as far as we could tell.
What's the end of the 6th?
The 14th. Okay. Yeah, somebody else took the call and thought that was the date, so.
Move to accept action resolution number 23-07-111, declaring Nebraska nuisance property, parcel number 6800057. Avenue.
Second. Sam moved and Andrea.
Everybody, did I say it wrong?
No, I said it, but not very well. I seconded, but
Oh,
you can take it.
Okay, we'll go with Kimberly.
Okay.
Sam moved and Kimberly second. Got that there? That we accept resolution 230711, declaring a nuisance at parcel 680005781, noting illegal. Any discussion? Tierney, how do you vote? Yes. Kimberly?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Andrea? All right, motion carried. All right, resolution 230712, nuisance at 117 West 8th Street.
One is, again, dead trees. We again got the call on June 19th, gave the extension to July 14th, and then saw no progress and had no further communication.
Act on resolution number 230712, resolution of mayor and council of the city of Grant, nuisance small property 1177 West 8th Street.
Second. Tierney moved, Andrea second, that we accept resolution 230712, declaring a nuisance at 117 West 8th Street. Any discussion? Andrea? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Tierney? Yes. Kimberly? Yes. Motion carried. All right, action and discussion on motion to abate at 826 Sherman.
Yeah, briefly, properties that are up for motion to abate were declared by you all in June at the June 26th meeting. And then those folks picked up their certified declared letters, so we know they got it. If you make a motion to abate, it just gives us the knowledge that the council is ready to keep going with the process. The property owners will receive another letter with a date that the property needs to be cleared by. If they don't clear by then, we'll schedule abatement and give them a 5-day notice of that removal of private property. So, the first case, 826 Sherman, this property has scrap wood, scrap metal, and building materials. We've had no communication from this property owner.
It's a motion to abate.
Make a motion to abate on property at 826 Sherman Avenue.
Emily moved, Tierney second, that we make a motion to abate at 826 Sherman. Any discussion? Andrea, how do you vote? Yes. Tierney? Yes. Kimberly? Yes. Sam?
Stay.
Motion carried.
Okay. The next property is 629 Sherman Avenue. This property owner called us on May 30th. We told them that they needed to remove the tire, the wood, and either put a lid on the barrel or remove it. And it hasn't changed. They picked up their declared letter, so we know they got it, and we haven't had any further communication from them since then.
move to abate property 629 Sherman Avenue.
Second.
Andrea moves, Sam second to abate 629 Sherman Avenue. Any discussion? Jeremy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Andrea? Yes. Motion carried.
Okay, the final one is 108 West Seventh Street. This case called us on May 23rd. We told them to clear the tires remain, and they signed for their declared letters. They know we're still looking at it. And then some packing crates and discarded goods as well that haven't been, so.
Make a motion to abate at 108 West 7th Street. Second. Kimberly moved, Terry second, that we make, abate 108 West 7th Street. Any discussion? Andrea, how do you vote? Yes. Sam?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Motion carried. Did everyone get a chance, thank you very much for, sitting through all of that. Look forward to when you come again.
Yes.
Did everyone get a chance to look at bills and claims?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, everyone.
I make a motion to approve bills and claims in the amount of 310,871.37.
Andrea moved, Tierney second, that we accept bills and claims at $310,871.37. Any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Andrea? Yes. Tierney? Yes. Kimberly? Yes. Motion carried. We are adjourned at 9:26.
Good golly.